RIP Sony's discs, 1994, 2028. I think that there is a huge queue to talk about debate between digital and physical media. So I think that the three keywords are the following: permanence. When you own a physical device, console, or a game, nobody can take that away from you digitally. No business model, no nothing. And that's it. And I think that there is something warm about that, something comforting about that. And it's your responsibility to keep your console and to keep your desks and your cartridges safe. And that's it. That is your responsibility. However, when you buy something digitally, you're going to say to yourself, well, I can download that over and over again. What about 40 years ahead? What about 50 years ahead? What about 60 years ahead? When you say to yourself, like, oh my God, I'm going to own a game for 60 years, it's all about selling it again. So when you own something that you have purchased, there are a lot of other matters that we can talk about. So the whole idea of permanency, something that is permanent, that you have purchased as a consumer, it's a huge deal. All right. Portability, it's absolutely fun to, grab your Switch and then go into a trip or whatever. And all of your games are already there, or you can even download them even when you're outside. So I think that the only thing that digital media has over physical media is absolutely portability. That's the only single thing. However, when you're like traveling and you're going to be in, for a long time, like you're traveling to a different country and you're going to sit over there for 20 days and you want to play a certain game, it's even way more fun to physically pack that game. You're going to feel that when we talk about soul. I remember when I used to purchase a Nintendo 64 game. It actually came in a rectangular box that you open it. It's a physical box that had sometimes a poster, but always a booklet. And that booklet is actually satisfying. It sometimes had some narration that did I almost die? I lost some HP. Wait a minute. Let me drink some water, please. Pardon me. All right. So the booklet had something that furthers the whole lore. I mean, look at some YouTube videos that talk about Metroid Prime or even about Super Mario. When you have questions about the characters or their lore, you're going to get that whole culture within that whole franchise, or that deep dive, if you will. You're going to get that from the booklet itself. It talked about the characters, it talked about how to play the game in a physical kind of a way. It's way more satisfying when you read something physically and then you jump into that game on the screen. There is a soul. I mean, when you are a consumer, I get it. You want to purchase something that has the whole mystique and style of minimalism. But we're talking video games. Minimalism is all about efficiency. Video games shouldn't really focus all that much on efficiency, and I love that about Nintendo. Nintendo is, I think it's the biggest video game company that focuses on fun, unapologetic fun. However, I think Xbox, and especially with Asha Sharma, the new executive vice president and CEO of Microsoft Gaming, I think she's going to double down on Xbox classic maximalist attitude. I mean, when you talk about Xbox, what do I remember? Mountain Dew, Halo, green stuff, and Gears of War. They weren't green, but they were also awesome. And it had that Microsoft gigantic reservoir, if you will. They just pump into your console everything that you want. they're going to click, they're going to satisfy your need, and that's it. It's like an endless buffet. Then they started to lose that, and they wanted to shrink everything back again, focus on, prices and all of that, prices, pardon me, and all of that. That's why everybody is loving Asha Sharma, because she's talking about a new business model. And I think that it's also a nice time for Sega to make a very anticipated console comeback. I think they can come back and rule the whole gaming world, because when you talk about Xbox, there are certain negativities. PlayStation, Nintendo. Sega now has the chance to step back in the fray, if you will, and just learn everything, and then satisfy your gamers by maxing out on being extra physical. The gaming world is being extra digital because they're actually suffering from video mobile games like PUBG used to, when PUBG did reach its peak and all of that. And I think that it really did frighten gaming companies and made them focus more and more on digital, and people purchased more digital games. And I think that people wanted to purchase digital games because it's just way more direct and way more convenient. All right, but physical, there is a history between you and that physical thing that you have purchased. And I mean that when I'm walking around my room and I see a game that we have purchased 25 years ago, there is a sense of familiarity. There is a whole narration to all of that. I mean, we're talking games. Let your whole attitude be a sandbox situation. Be creative. Be unapologetically fun about all of that. It's supposed to be imaginary and to be epic and to have a lot of romance behind it and a lot of magic, and nostalgic. I think that modern digital games aren't really that nostalgic. They're not going to be that nostalgic in the future, because you haven't really connected to it like we did in the 90s and then the 2000s. I mean, I remember the first time my mom bought me an N64, I was 6 years old. 6 years old, I guess, or I probably, yeah, 6 years old. All right. So when I got that, and the very first game was Mario 64, it literally changed my whole life. I was fully immersed. I mean, a 6 years old child. Prior to that, we used to play 2D games, and now a full world 3D game. That was absolutely insane. And to have that physical game kept, unfortunately, we did lose that game, sadly, tragically. But I think if I had that game, I would really have a lot of sentimental value. That's what I'm talking about when I repeat, trying to dance around this whole subject. Soul. Physical media does have soul. Plus, they have sovereignty. They do have sovereignty. When you buy a console, and that console is not connected to the internet, and that game that you have purchased, you just either put that cartridge or that disc, slide that disc in, or etc. Physically let the game start. Physically, there is a sovereignty behind that I just don't want to get away from. I mean, if you allow video game companies to let everything be digital, I don't think that I'm comfortable with that. I mean, there are no shenanigans but there are business models that you might not agree with. And have a nice day. Please let me know what you think. Share, comment, and follow. Like. Thank you.